Welcome back to SwitchTop. In this video, we're counting down the top 20 best JRPGs on Nintendo Switch you need to play in 2026. Games that stand out for their gameplay systems, world building, and lasting impact, not just hype. Some are legendary names, others are underrated gems, but every single one earns its place on this list. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade on Nintendo Switch 2 stands as a must-play JRPG thanks to how well its ambitious design translates to a hybrid console. The game blends real-time action with classic RPG strategy through its hybrid combat system, where fast attacks, dodging, and character switching are layered with ATB-based abilities, magic, and materia customization that reward thoughtful planning. Battles feel dynamic and flexible, encouraging players to adapt on the fly while still offering deep build variety. Performance-wise, the Switch 2 version delivers a stable experience, targeting a consistent 30 frames per second in both docked and handheld play, with smart scaling and visual compromises that preserve atmosphere without hurting responsiveness. While textures and shadows are pared back compared to more powerful hardware, the overall presentation remains cohesive and cinematic. The gameplay loop balances story-driven missions with side activities and character-focused moments, keeping pacing engaging throughout. Narratively, the remake expands the Midgar arc with richer dialogue, stronger character development, and added scenes that deepen emotional impact, making it compelling for both newcomers and longtime fans who want a fresh yet respectful reimagining.
So what's your brilliant plan, genius? Damn it! Bounced right off.
Nice try, dumbass!
Frontal assault's no good.
It's my time to shine.
Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake is a standout JRPG that proves how timeless classic design can feel when paired with thoughtful modernization. At its core, the game remains a traditional turn-based RPG, built around party management, strategic command selection, and careful resource use during battles, staying true to the foundations that defined the genre. The remake enhances this formula with modern quality-of-life improvements, such as adjustable battle speed, streamlined menus, autosaving, and multiple difficulty options that make the experience more welcoming without diluting its depth. Exploration plays a major role, encouraging players to travel across towns, dungeons, and open fields, discovering secrets, collectibles, and optional encounters that reward curiosity. The HD 2D visual style elevates the world with richly detailed pixel art, layered with dynamic lighting and depth, giving familiar locations a fresh sense of scale and atmosphere. Story-wise, it delivers a classic heroic journey centered on legacy, destiny, and adventure, relying on strong world-building and player-driven progression rather than heavy exposition, making it an essential experience for both longtime fans and newcomers looking to understand the roots of JRPG storytelling. Ys VIII. Lacrimosa of Dana is an essential JRPG for players who enjoy fast, fluid action paired with a strong sense of adventure. Combat is entirely real-time, built around quick movement, responsive attacks, and seamless party switching between characters with different damage types, encouraging constant adaptation to enemy weaknesses. Well-timed dodges and guards trigger flash move and flash guard mechanics, briefly slowing time or boosting advantages, which adds a satisfying layer of skill-based mastery to every encounter. Exploration is tightly woven into progression, as uncovering the island, rescuing castaways, and expanding your base unlocks new tools, areas, and gameplay options, keeping momentum strong from start to finish. The world design emphasizes verticality and discovery, rewarding curiosity with hidden paths and optional challenges. Story-wise, the game balances survival and mystery, following Adol's struggle on a dangerous island while interweaving a parallel narrative centered on Dana, whose story adds emotional weight and long-term intrigue.
Something's there.
Unicorn Overlord on Nintendo Switch stands out as a must-play JRPG for fans of deep, strategy-driven experiences wrapped in classic fantasy flair. The game blends real-time overworld movement with large-scale tactical battles, where success depends on smart positioning, squad composition, and careful planning rather than quick reflexes. Instead of direct control during combat, players focus on assembling units, assigning roles, and managing formations, letting battles play out based on preparation and strategic choices. Exploration across a sprawling continent is tightly connected to progression, as liberating towns, securing routes, and choosing when and where to engage enemies directly impacts available resources and army strength. The gameplay loop rewards foresight and adaptability, constantly encouraging players to refine their tactics and unit synergies. Story-wise, it follows an exiled prince building a liberation force to reclaim a war-torn land, emphasizing themes of rebellion, loyalty, and leadership.
Ready yourself!
You'll see no harm. I shall protect you. We strive together.
Octopath Traveler 0 builds on the series' signature identity, while introducing systems that give the experience a stronger sense of progression and purpose. Combat remains fully turn-based and centers on the break and boost mechanics, encouraging players to study enemy weaknesses, time their actions carefully, and unleash powerful turns through smart boost point management. Party composition plays a larger role, with a wide roster of companions allowing flexible setups and tactical depth through positioning and role synergy. Exploration follows a familiar structure of towns, dungeons, and open routes, but is enhanced by path actions that let characters interact with NPCs in varied, meaningful ways. A major addition is the town building system, where restoring and developing a ruined settlement unlocks resources, bonuses, and narrative threads, tying growth directly to gameplay decisions. Story-wise, the game shifts toward a more unified narrative, following a customizable protagonist whose journey blends personal ambition, ancient mysteries, and the responsibility of rebuilding a home.
This is our chance! I've got it! Be strong! Time to strike!
The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero is a standout JRPG for players who value rich storytelling and methodical, strategy-focused gameplay. Combat follows a classic turn-based structure, built around positioning, turn order manipulation, and smart use of crafts, arts, and powerful S-crafts that reward careful planning rather than brute force. The system is easy to grasp, but offers satisfying depth as encounters become more demanding, especially when managing resources and exploiting enemy weaknesses. Exploration is centered on the city-state of Crossbell and its surrounding areas, where side quests, hidden events, and constantly evolving NPC dialogue make the world feel reactive and alive. The narrative focuses on the Special Support section, a small investigative unit whose seemingly modest cases slowly unravel political tension, corruption, and larger conspiracies shaping the region's future. Character development is a major strength, with strong party chemistry and grounded personal arcs that unfold naturally over time. Triangle Strategy is an essential JRPG for players who appreciate tactical depth and story-driven decision-making. Combat is fully turn-based and played on grid-based maps where positioning, terrain height, and directional attacks are just as important as raw stats, rewarding careful planning over aggressive play. Each character has a clearly defined role and a unique set of abilities, giving every unit a strong identity and making party composition a meaningful strategic choice rather than a numbers game. Outside of battle, the game places heavy emphasis on narrative, following a grounded political storyline shaped by difficult moral decisions and internal party votes that determine how events unfold. These choices influence alliances, story routes, and long-term outcomes, encouraging thoughtful engagement rather than obvious good or evil paths. Exploration and story segments are deliberately paced, allowing the world's conflicts and characters to develop naturally, supported by a striking HD 2D visual style and strong world building.
やったなさせるか
これで傷を
助かった させるか。
Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is a must-play JRPG that combines massive world design, layered combat systems, and an emotionally driven narrative into a cohesive, long-form adventure. Exploration is a defining pillar, with vast, interconnected regions that encourage wandering, side quests, and discovery, supported by a dynamic world that changes with time and player progress. Combat unfolds in real time, blending auto attacks with positional arts, cooldown management, and party synergy, creating encounters that feel strategic without relying on traditional turn-based structure. Managing aggro, timing abilities, and coordinating party roles becomes increasingly important as battles grow more complex. The story follows Shulk and his companions on a sweeping journey filled with mystery, loss, and existential themes, gradually expanding its scope while remaining grounded in strong character relationships. Narrative twists are carefully paced, rewarding long-term investment without overwhelming the player. Enhanced visuals, refined interfaces, and added narrative content help smooth the experience, making it more approachable while preserving its original ambition. Pokémon Legends Arceus stands out as a bold reimagining of the Pokémon formula, leaning heavily into exploration, experimentation, and player-driven discovery. Instead of traditional routes, the game is built around large, open areas where Pokémon exist directly in the environment, reacting dynamically to your presence by fleeing, observing, or attacking, which gives exploration a constant sense of tension and curiosity. Catching Pokémon happens seamlessly in real time, allowing players to use stealth, positioning, and timing to throw Pokeballs without entering battle, while combat itself reworks the familiar turn-based system with altered turn order and strong and agile styles that emphasize strategy over routine exchanges. Progression is tied to completing research tasks and expanding the Pokédex, encouraging varied interactions rather than simple repetition. Story-wise, the game is set in an early era of the region's history, focusing on humanity's uneasy relationship with Pokémon and the gradual effort to understand them through study and cooperation. NieR Automata, the End of YoRHa edition, is a standout JRPG that blends fast, stylish action with unconventional storytelling and philosophical depth. Combat is real-time and fluid, combining light and heavy attacks, weapon switching, aerial combos, and pod-based ranged support to create a system that rewards movement, timing, and player expression rather than rigid patterns. Gameplay frequently shifts between hack-and-slash combat, shooting sequences, and exploration, keeping the experience varied and unpredictable. The world is composed of large, interconnected areas that encourage roaming, side quests, and environmental discovery, with progression tied to character upgrades and customizable chip systems that let players fine-tune their playstyle. What truly defines the game, however, is its narrative structure, which unfolds across multiple perspectives and playthroughs, gradually recontextualizing events and themes. The story explores identity, purpose, and the cost of endless conflict through androids fighting machine life forms, delivering emotional weight and introspective moments that linger long after the credits. Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin offers a refreshing take on the Monster Hunter universe by reimagining it as a fully turn-based JRPG built around strategy, bonding, and exploration. Combat is driven by a rock, paper, scissors system that revolves around power, speed, and technical attacks, pushing players to read enemy patterns, swap weapons, and coordinate actions with their monsties to gain the upper hand. Building kinship through successful choices allows for devastating combo attacks that reward smart play rather than grinding. Outside of battle, exploration focuses on roaming vibrant regions, discovering monster dens, hatching eggs, and raising a diverse roster of rideable monsties, each with unique abilities that help access new paths and secrets. Customization runs deep, with gear crafting, skill inheritance, and team tuning offering long-term depth. The story follows a young rider tied to a mysterious Rathalos in an impending catastrophe, blending personal stakes with Monster Hunter lore in a more emotional, character-driven adventure that remains welcoming to newcomers and longtime fans alike. Trails in the Sky First Chapter is a standout JRPG for players who value slow-burn storytelling, strong character writing, and thoughtful turn-based combat. Battles emphasize positioning, turn order, and tactical use of crafts and arts, with the orbment system allowing deep customization of abilities and stat bonuses that reward careful setup rather than brute force. Exploration is structured around traveling between towns and routes, completing guild requests, and engaging with NPCs whose dialogue evolves alongside the main story, giving the world a rare sense of continuity and realism. The narrative follows Estelle and Joshua as they begin their journey as junior bracers, starting with small, personal tasks that gradually build into a wider tale of political tension and hidden conspiracies. Character development is central, with relationships and personalities unfolding naturally through dialogue and shared experiences, rather than exposition-heavy scenes. Its pacing is deliberate, but that patience pays off through rich world-building and emotional investment, making it an essential entry point into a larger saga and a rewarding experience for anyone seeking a classic JRPG built on depth, consistency, and narrative care.
Victory is ours!
Monster Hunter Rise delivers a fast, highly mobile take on action-focused JRPG design, built around mastering hunts rather than following a traditional linear narrative. Gameplay centers on tracking and battling large monsters across seamless maps, learning their behavior, and using carved materials to craft stronger weapons and armor, creating a progression loop driven entirely by skill and preparation. The introduction of the wire bug system transforms both exploration and combat, adding vertical movement, evasive options, and weapon-specific silkbind attacks that reward aggressive, creative play. Companions play a larger role, with Palamutes enabling rapid traversal and combat support alongside Palicos, making solo hunts feel dynamic and cooperative play more fluid. Encounters emphasize adaptability, as monsters interact with the environment and each other, forcing players to adjust tactics in real time. While the story is lighter and more atmospheric than character-driven, it draws from village folklore and escalating threats to give context to the hunts. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is a standout JRPG that blends traditional turn-based combat with charm, creativity, and light, puzzle-driven exploration. Battles take place on a theatrical stage, where timing-based action commands play a central role, rewarding precise inputs with stronger attacks, better defenses, and crowd-driven bonuses, while a rotating cast of partners adds tactical variety through unique abilities and combat roles. Outside of fights, gameplay shifts toward exploration and problem-solving, with platforming elements and environmental puzzles woven naturally into each distinct region. The world is structured around self-contained chapters, each introducing memorable locations, quirky characters, and playful twists that keep pacing fresh. Story-wise, the adventure follows Mario's quest to collect powerful artifacts tied to the mysterious Thousand-Year Door, gradually unfolding a narrative filled with humor, surprising emotional beats, and strong character interactions. Enhanced visuals and modern quality-of-life improvements help streamline progression while preserving the original's personality, making the experience accessible without losing depth. Dark Souls Remastered is an essential action-focused JRPG for players who appreciate deliberate combat, intricate level design, and subtle storytelling. Gameplay revolves around patience and precision, where stamina management, timing, and positioning define every encounter, turning even basic enemies into meaningful challenges. Weapon choice, armor weight, and character builds directly influence how battles unfold, encouraging experimentation and mastery rather than button mashing. Exploration is a core pillar, set within a tightly interconnected world filled with shortcuts, hidden paths, and environmental storytelling that rewards curiosity and careful observation. Progression is anchored by bonfires that function as both safety points and strategic decisions, balancing recovery with risk as enemies respawn upon resting. The narrative is intentionally understated, unfolding through item descriptions, cryptic dialogue, and world details that invite interpretation rather than explicit explanation. This approach creates a strong sense of mystery and atmosphere, drawing players deeper into the fallen land and its themes of decay and perseverance. Dragon Quest XI's is a quintessential JRPG that celebrates traditional design while delivering a polished, expansive adventure. Combat follows a classic turn-based structure, emphasizing smart use of skills, buffs, and party synergy rather than flashy mechanics, making battles approachable yet consistently engaging. Characters are developed through flexible skill trees that encourage experimentation and allow each party member to grow into distinct roles over time. Exploration is a major strength, with a large, colorful world filled with towns, dungeons, and optional activities that naturally reward curiosity and downtime between story beats. The narrative centers on the Luminary, a chosen hero whose journey unfolds with charm, emotional turns, and a memorable cast that brings warmth and personality to the overarching quest. Storytelling balances lighthearted moments with darker themes, maintaining a steady sense of momentum without rushing its key arcs. With thoughtful quality-of-life features, refined presentation, and a strong focus on character-driven progression, the experience feels welcoming to newcomers while offering depth and satisfaction for longtime JRPG fans. Octopath Traveler 2 is a polished, turn-based JRPG that refines the series' core ideas while expanding its sense of freedom and narrative variety. Combat revolves around the familiar break and boost system, rewarding players who exploit enemy weaknesses, manage turn order, and time their boost points for decisive moments, rather than relying on raw levels. Each protagonist brings unique abilities and path actions that influence how you interact with the world, and the addition of a day-night cycle subtly changes available options and NPC behavior, making exploration feel more dynamic. The world itself is diverse and inviting, encouraging travel across land and sea, with side quests and environmental details that give each region its own identity. Storytelling is delivered through 8 distinct character arcs, each with its own tone and themes, allowing personal journeys to unfold naturally while contributing to a broader sense of shared world-building. Supported by the series' striking HD 2D visuals, an expressive soundtrack, and smooth quality-of-life features, the experience feels both nostalgic and confidently modern.
I'll cut you down.
Scatter before me!
Here I come. How's this?
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a large-scale JRPG that excels at blending complex systems, open-ended exploration, and emotionally grounded storytelling. Combat plays out in real time with a full party active simultaneously, combining auto attacks with timed arts, positional bonuses, and layered combos that reward coordination rather than fast reflexes. Deep class customization allows characters to shift roles and abilities, encouraging experimentation and flexible party setups as new options are unlocked. Exploration is central to the experience, with vast, interconnected regions filled with side quests, hidden paths, and environmental storytelling that make the world feel alive beyond the main narrative. The story follows a group of soldiers from opposing factions forced into an uneasy alliance, gradually uncovering the truth behind their world and the endless cycle of conflict defining their lives. Character relationships and emotional moments are given space to breathe, strengthening the impact of the larger themes of identity, purpose, and freedom. Persona 5 Royal is a standout JRPG that blends stylish turn-based combat with a deeply engaging life simulation structure and strong, character-driven storytelling. Battles take place in surreal dungeon spaces where exploiting enemy weaknesses, managing personas, and chaining tactical advantages are central to success, keeping combat fast-paced and strategic rather than repetitive. Outside of combat, gameplay shifts to everyday life, where managing time between school, social activities, and personal growth directly influences both narrative progression and battle performance through the Confidant system. This dual structure creates a satisfying rhythm, giving weight to player choices and long-term planning. The story follows a group of students who secretly operate as the Phantom Thieves, entering the distorted minds of corrupt individuals to challenge injustice. And it unfolds through layered character arcs, moral questions, and memorable interactions. Its confident visual style, expressive soundtrack, and refined systems work together to deliver an experience that feels cohesive and emotionally resonant. Dragon Quest I and II HD 2D Remake offers a modern yet faithful way to experience the origins of the JRPG genre, combining classic design with thoughtful refinements. Both games retain traditional turn-based combat, built around simple command menus, careful resource management, and steady character growth, but benefit from quality-of-life updates that smooth pacing and reduce unnecessary friction. Exploration remains central, encouraging players to travel across interconnected overworlds filled with towns, dungeons, and secrets that reward curiosity and preparation. The HD 2D presentation enhances the sense of scale and atmosphere, giving familiar locations greater depth while preserving their original charm. Storytelling is more fleshed out than in the originals, adding context, new scenes, and expanded character moments that strengthen emotional engagement. Dragon Quest I focuses on a lone hero's journey against encroaching darkness, emphasizing solitude and perseverance, while Dragon Quest II broadens the scope with a party-based adventure that highlights cooperation between kingdoms. That wraps up our list of the top 20 JRPGs on Nintendo Switch you need to play in 2026. If you enjoyed the list, let me know which game is your personal favorite, or which one you think deserved a spot but didn't make it. Don't forget to like the video if it helped you find your next adventure. Subscribe for more JRPG-focused content, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.